5 minutes, we will be exploring the Chicago River, heading up the main branch. That's where we are right now. We're going to come to a Y-shaped intersection called Wolf Point. There, we're going to explore the north branch of the river and turn around by Grand Avenue. We're going to explore the south branch of the river, turn around by Roosevelt Road. We're then going to head back up the main branch here and come back to Ogden Slip at Navy Pier, exactly where we started. It should take around 75 minutes or so, and by the end of the journey, we will have learned tons about Chicago's history and its architecture. Architecture, of course, being the focus. But since we have a boatload of brand new friends and neighbors, I just want to get a feel for where everyone's visiting from. Anyone from out of the country today? Out of the country. Oh gosh, lots of people. Oh, where are you guys from? New Zealand, other side of the planet. Hey, New Zealand, welcome aboard. Hi. Woo, woo, we love New Zealand. Hi, New Zealand, where are you guys from? India's here. Hi, India, welcome aboard. Ooh, yes. I saw some hands over. Yeah, where are you from? India as well. Hi, India. Behind India, where are you guys from? London. Hi, London. Welcome aboard. The UK is here. I saw some more hands. Yes. Anyone else getting pointed out? Yeah, ma'am, where are you from? India's here. We got a... Who's not from India? Awesome. India's in the house. Hi, India. Glad to have you guys on board. Anyone else? Quick shout out to your homeland. Anybody else? Texas. That's another country. Texas. Hey, Texas. Welcome to the U.S. Glad to have you guys here. Cool. Chicago locals. Where my locals at? Hey, locals. Welcome to this boat. Cool. Glad to have everyone here on this beautiful, fine Chicago Saturday night. So we're on the Chicago River. Let's do a real brief history of it. Now, this river was discovered, and I use that loosely, by two French explorers named Marquette and Joliet around 1678. They were trying to find a central route of portage through the Americas. Now, when I say they discovered this river, I mean, of course, Native Americans showed them this river. The natives showed them that if you go up the Chicago River up the South Branch, you can pick up your canoe, carry that 5 miles down through Mud Lake. You can then put your canoe in the Des Plaines River. Des Plaines River runs into the Illinois River, Illinois to the Mississippi, Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. So from this point, yes, we can get to the Gulf of Mexico. That would take us 2 weeks and 10 days. We don't have that kind of time. We're not going to the Gulf of Mexico today, even though that sounds pretty nice. Well, the French were not very inspired by Chicago. This was, at the time, mostly swampland and marsh areas. The French moved a little further south, which is why you see a French influence in places like St. Louis and New Orleans, a little closer to the Mississippi. So Chicago would sit and wait for our first non-native settler. His full name, Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable. He settled here around 1799. He was a fur trader. If you look over here to the left-hand side, this little area of land is going to be Du Sable Park. You may have noticed there is a sculpture. It's yellow, kind of looks like a ball of water. That's the back of Du Sable's head. That sculpture is from a art barge we had last year. We had a barge full of contemporary art. They were floating up and down the river, so that's residual from that. And they're going to be building Du Sable Park here. If you look to the left a little bit in the distance, you'll see this little harbor. That's called Du Sable Harbor. And later we're going to see Michigan Avenue Bridge is also called Du Sable Bridge, named after Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable. Now, if his name sounds French, he was not. He was Haitian. So our first non-native settler was not a European man, which I think is kind of cool. And the reason I mentioned Du Sable is because he found out what the word Chicago means. This is a Potawatomi word pronounced Ishikagoa. And we knew the natives called this place Ishikagoa, so we put it on the map. What Chicago really means is strong and powerful onion. Great. Again, swampland, marsh area, very distinctive, very smelly onions and garlic were growing here. So the natives knew Chicago was the land of bad smells. We did not find out until it was too late to change the name. So I'd like to officially welcome you guys to the land of the stinking onion. Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. You thought it meant go Cubs. It doesn't. Now in front of us, you'll see the Chicago flag, the 2 blue stripes, the 4 red stars. You've seen that flag all over the city. That's our flag of Chicago. We love our flag. It's literally on everything. So what does it represent? The 2 blue stripes represent our bodies of water, Lake Michigan and the Chicago River. The 3 white stripes represent our neighborhoods, the north side, the west side, and the south side. We don't have an east side because we have Lake Michigan. And the 4 red stars represent major events in our Chicago history. The first star for Fort Dearborn, the first U.S. base here in Chicago. The second star for the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. The third star for our World's Fair of 1893. And the 4th star for World's Fair of 1933. So Fort, Fire, Fair, and Fair. Now the city of Chicago kept making a joke that if the Chicago Cubs ever won the World Series, they'd put a 5th star on the flag, because wouldn't that be a major historical event? If you don't know, in 2016, the Chicago Cubs did win the World Series, and they had not one for 108 years. So we had a big parade, dyed the river blue, grown men in the street openly weeping. Yes, a truly historical event. Now, I think the city of Chicago is making a joke. I don't think they'll ever put a fifth star on the flag, but if they ever do, lots of people around this city would have to change their tattoos. It is a very popular tattoo. We're going to be passing under Lakeshore Drive. This is one of our major highways, runs north and south and wraps around the outer edge of the city. To this day, traveling on Lakeshore Drive, one of my favorite views of Chicago. On one side, beautiful Lake Michigan, the third largest Great Lake, and on the other side, gorgeous skyline views. So if you're going to get stuck in traffic, Lakeshore Drive is the best place to be. And as we're passing under this bridge, you get your introduction to the gorgeous Chicago skyline. So if you want to grab your cameras, take some photos, please enjoy yourself. But here is where we're going to dive into architecture. As I said, that is the focus here today. We're going to start on the left-hand side with this construction that's going on, because this development is something Chicagoans are pretty excited about. This, when completed, will be 3 brand new towers called Vista Towers. They're designed by Jeannie Gang and Gang Studios, and she is one of the premier architects of the world. She's known as a star architect. Illinois born, very sought after, really thrilled to have her back building here. Now look at the unique shape in which these towers are already taking their form. How they bow out, they bow in, they concave, they give. They're going to be clad in blue glass, which is the new trend in architecture. And you can even see little bits of blue glass at the bottom as a point of reference. These towers will consecutively get smaller as you get closer to the lake. So the tower that's closest to us is completed. That's as tall as that one's going to be. The one furthest from us with the skip on the side, that one is a third of the way up. We got 3 times that to go. When the tower is completed by 2020, it will become the 3rd tallest building in Chicago, taking Aon Center spot, and it will be the tallest building in the world, designed by a female-led architecture firm, so that's pretty cool. Bottom floors, hotel, rest condominiums. The units start at $4 million, and they're already at 80% occupancy, so you're going to want to grab your unit pretty fast here. I am going to shift your focus to the front of the vessel. Directly in front of us is a silver tall tower with the spire at the very top. Our 2nd tallest building in Chicago is Trump Tower and International Hotel. From 2009 by Adrian Smith of the firm Skidmore, Owings & Merrill. This is called postmodernism, contextualism architecture. It's site specific. The first setback of Trump Tower is at the exact same height of the white building next to its main block. That's the Wrigley building, so a little tip of the hat to Wrigley, its neighbor. The last setback at the same height of the black building next to it, that's AMA Plaza. But also, the silver reflective glass, that was picked out perfectly to transition in the skyline from that white lace terracotta of the Wrigley into the silver of Trump Tower and then into the black building next to it, so that it's seamlessly fitting in with its surroundings. It's 92 stories tall, half hotel, half residential, total height at 1,388 feet. On the left-hand side, we have a triangle-shaped building with alternating blue and dark blue glass. This is Suisse Hotel by Harry Weiss and Associates. Harry Weiss served in the Navy, a very accomplished sailor. He loved nautical themes. Lots of his buildings have triangle shapes meant to resemble sails on a boat. As we move in front of it, you'll notice it also resembles the bow of a ship, as if there's a giant blue glossy ship coming right for us. The building above and behind Suisse Hotel with the beautiful wavy balconies is one of Chicago's very favorites. It's called Aqua Tower, of course. It is meant to look like a cascade of watered down limestone. No 2 balconies here are the same. Everyone has their own unique floor plan. Note also how the balconies wrap around the outer edge to further optimize views. Aqua Tower was built in 2009 by Jeannie Gang and Gang Studios, the same female architect that's doing Vista Towers. So you can see her themes, right? Water-based motifs. She's referencing the river, the location in which her buildings are by. So we're already getting some great examples right off the bat of just how friendly our skyline is. These buildings are acknowledging one another, and they're also acknowledging their surroundings. So we'll see a lot of that. It's called contextualism. Coming over to the right, a little bit in the distance, you're going to see a stone-clad building with a yellow onion dome at the very top. And this is Hotel Intercontinental.